Welcome to the introduction to currency. Now you might ask, why do we need to look at currency? Well, as you'll see later on, it's going to be a fundamental building block. How did it come about? Well, it was a discussion between myself, Carol and Pin, where we decided we definitely need a link between how currency came about and the link to digital currency. So going back in time, what were we talking about? Well, the currency actually was animals. The first recollection of any currency was indeed animals. We exchange animals for goods or services. Obviously a little bit inconvenient now. Imagine nipping into McDonald's and perhaps swapping a horse for a beef burger. It isn't particularly practical. It will be of no surprise to you that the first currency was indeed coins. And it'll be probably no surprise to you that the first people to use this were Chinese. Now, one of the things that made the coins valuable was the actual inclusion of precious metals such as gold and silver. So that would give the coins themselves an intrinsic value. As you see here, from a practical point of view, these Qi-type coins, Chinese coins, had holes through them, which you could put some twine or some leather cord and actually carry the coins around your neck if you wanted to. So the first type of coin was actually minted in China. It wouldn't actually come to a surprise that actually the first note wasn't made out of paper. Again, China. It was actually made out of leather. But the paper notes are very interesting. China was the first country to use these. Obviously we adopted them later on, but there was one key thing that we did. For every pound that we produced, we used to have a pound of gold stuck in the vault somewhere, and this was the same with most currencies indeed. So obviously paper, I mean, if you look at different forms of paper, why would one be even more valuable than the other? Well, when we did our currency, for every pound that was produced, we'd have a pound of gold. So that would give you its value because it's backed up by gold. And as we know, gold as an investment has been going around since the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, that's for sure. Now, what I want to talk to you about is fiat currency. We talked about fiat currency before, and you might have heard people discussing what fiat currency is. Don't be mistaken, it's not an Italian car. It's got nothing to do with it. And what I hope to do is just go through what fiat currency is. Now, when a $100 bill is made, in the past, what would happen is associated with that was equivalent to $100 of gold, and there we got 45 quid in front of us. So if we had that, we would actually have £45 worth of gold. But sadly, that ceased. Fiat currency occurred, and with Richard Nixon, he withdrew the link to the gold standard in 1971, and we also did it as well. So fiat currency means there is no gold to back it up. So the vast majority of currencies in the world are actually fiat currencies, so they have no gold to back them up. So are they worth a lot of money? Well, actually, no, not really. Currency isn't worth that much. It's some people say it's what it represents, but as you'll see through the journey, if you want more money, you print more money. It does have consequences, but we do need to understand the cornerstones of money. So vast majority of currency today is not backed up by gold and is termed fiat currency. Well, what is the value of money? Well, on the left-hand side here, you'll see that euros are being exchanged for Singaporean dollars. So obviously, if I go and buy some Singaporean dollars using euro, there's a demand, and obviously the price of Singaporean dollars will go up, and it all goes according to supply and demand. Every day, countries swap currencies on an exchange, and depending on the supply and demand, will affect the price. So generally speaking, if there's a high demand and short supply, then there's a shortage and therefore the price goes up. Conversely, if there is a huge supply and not much demand, then there's a surplus and the price would go down. This particular slide is a very, very powerful slide indeed, if you didn't notice it. A lot of people saying, I'm not so sure about this electronic currency, and I'm not so sure about what the impact of cryptocurrency is. But this particular slide represents something really important. On the right hand side you'll see digital money, and on the left hand side you have physical money. Now most people think actually most money is indeed physical, but nothing's further from the truth. In fact, probably less than 5% of money in circulation is actually notes. In fact, majority is digital already. So the transaction from the bank, from your bank to another bank, or when you go to a cash machine, initially that's held in digital. It's only then converted into fixed money when you go to an ATM. So the vast majority of money is in fact digital. It's a series of ones and noughts held on computers in banks. So what? In terms of trading, for instance, traders trade currency on the markets, and they just look to see whether the currency will go up in value or whether it will go down. And basically they guess whether it's going to go up, and they guess whether it's going to go down. But these are pretty smart guesses because they go on past performance, on news. There's a thing called fundamentals. They'll look at such news. I mean, a typical example, if OPEC, the oil people, decide there's going to be a curb on oil production, what actually happens is that oil production is curbed, and therefore the supply is reduced, and therefore the demand would actually start to increase, and the price of oil goes up. The opposite is true when OPEC turn around and say, do you know what, we're actually going to overproduce oil, so there's actually a surplus. The price of oil actually goes down. So that gives you an idea, and with that news you could predict that and make money. So don't forget, people on the stock market make money when the prices go up. They also make money when the prices go down. Most exchanges are done digitally. In terms of traders, they'll have currency on account, and they trade billions and billions and billions of dollars and pounds every single day. What we've found ourselves in now is actually a digital revolution. The internet is certainly changing. It's no longer just about sending and receiving information. If information was power, then we'd all be very all-powerful. There's been a subtle change in the power base for the internet now. And it's now possible for real assets like money to occur online, to be digitally formatted and sent anywhere in the world instantly at no cost. This is where the value is. Now, most people have heard of Bitcoin. You can send a Bitcoin from one party to another without involving a bank. That can be done instantly, and that creates value and a tremendous opportunity. Here we see an example of how currencies are traded. On the right hand side, they're trying to guess whether you should buy or sell. Not so sure there. Purchase is to go long, to sell is to go short. Here is an indication that the pound versus the dollar. It would be a good indication to actually buy that, because against the dollar, the pound seems to be going up in this case. So this happens all the time, day and night. If you go to a site which is called CoinMarketCap, it will produce, I mean, this is for Bitcoin. This is the current Bitcoin price. Has been going down a little bit and has an opening price here, the high, the low. The market capitalization is the actual amount it's been traded. And if you look here, it's $15.28 billion. That's quite a bit. So that's a good site to look at. And again, this is Bitcoin. This is showing a year, and you can see It's just going up and up. It's pushing the $1,000 mark at the moment. And as you can see, that's going up. Now, the question to you is are people selling Bitcoin mainly, or are they buying it? I think you can gather from this is that they're actually buying it. And obviously, the more they buy, the more the price goes up. And that's what we've got here. So hopefully that is the basic introduction to currency, and it leads in nicely to Bitcoin and Dascoin. Thank you very much indeed for watching.